this is Andrew Divoff, the Wishmaster, and you are now entering Cinema Chop Shop. Enjoy your day.
The Cinema Chop Shop.
What's going on, everybody? It's Davey from the 80s, and you're now entering the Cinema Chop Shop, so park your ass right there. While you're there, don't forget to hit the like, the share, the subscribe button. Also, if you check the link below, you see a Patreon account. If you click it, you can become a member. All you got to do is try to recommend movies and music and trailers for me to react to, so click the damn link. Now, with that being said, I'm here today to review Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not a huge Zack Snyder fan. I did like Dawn of the Dead. I did like Watchmen. But I mean, outside of that, I ain't really seen much from the man that I really enjoy. His original work, not really. It ain't hitting like that. I don't think. I think that he's a great director when it comes to like visuals, but as far as like storytelling and creating his own narrative and screenplay and things like that, I don't think that he really he doesn't really hit the mark per se. Rebel Moon is it was originally a sales pitch to Disney about a Star Wars film that Zack Snyder wanted to do. Disney denied it, so Zack Snyder just was like, you know what, I'm gonna just sell this idea to Netflix, change some names, flip some things around, and booyah, here we go, Rebel Moon. Now, when I saw the trailer, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I sat back and I was like, yo, this actually looks pretty interesting. This looks pretty good. With Disney destroying what we know as Star Wars, I was willing to give this a shot. And then watching the trailer, I was like, dude, like this actually looks like it could be fun. This looks like it could compete. Let's see where it goes. Quick synopsis. There's a young lady on a planet, and she's working with these farmer people. You know, you have the army who has kind of been running on a tyrant spree, running around the universe, conquering planets. They kind of just come to this planet and tell these people, you know what? We've come to an agreement that you guys are going to give me all your food, and you guys are going to do that, or else we're going to come by and wipe you guys out, because these people are known for like destroying planets. So the young lady that was farming with them, she ends up turning around and destroying all of them, whooping their ass. And what ends up happening is they have to kind of comprise or come up with creating a small army in order to defend the farmer folk from the big bad army. And that's what this whole movie is about, just basically kind of getting the army, the small rebel army together in order to fight back against these people. Now, what you want to do? You want to do pros or you want to do cons first? The pros, the action sequences are actually pretty amazing. Some of the CGI, especially towards the beginning of the film, looks really good. I mean, the beginning of the film starts off really well. I was invested in the character, especially the main girl. I don't remember her name at the time. But yeah, I was really invested in the story from the beginning. Now, here's where the problem comes. The problem comes with once you get to the middle, the pacing issues start coming into play. This is a 2-hour film, and it really feels like it's 2 hours simply because Zack Snyder spams the shit out of slow motion. I mean, every single chance this man gets, he uses slow motion, and it's for like ridiculous scenes. Like you have a scene, I promise you, where the spaceship lands and it just slow-mos for no fucking reason as the people are walking off the ship. And I'm like, okay, like that was interesting. And honestly, he utilizes slow-mo in the fight sequences. Sometimes it's done well, sometimes it's not. Sometimes, and it's really overdone to the point where it takes you out of the fight sequence. The fight sequences are so cool, they're well choreographed, and yet you continuously have these slow motion moments where it takes you out of it. Like, you're not Neo, you're not the one. I don't need you to slow-mo every 5 seconds, my guy. Moving on. The pacing of the movie feels ridiculous. You have this main character who we learn about. You've developed a character. You're starting to figure out who this person is, and you're like, all right, cool. Like, you know, I've actually invested time and energy into this main actress. She's doing a really good job. She has me invested. She has me fully invested in the story. And then you have these other characters who are introduced rapidly into the story. And then they throw their backstories at you real quick. and you're just expected to be like, oh, okay, all right, sure. The problem is, I feel like these characters are presented as if they have this huge importance, and it's not. They're not really important. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's like, imagine if Chewbacca was introduced in Star Wars, like had this dope ass intro scene, like I mean dope ass intro scene, and a lot of camera time was focused on him, and they played him up, and then all of a sudden, like, he just kind of just did the same shit that he does normally, right? We all understand that Chewbacca, R2D2, and C3PO are just like side characters. We've come to understand that. We come to enjoy that. They know they fucking role. These characters feel like main characters, the way that they're presented, the way that they're brought up, the way that they're hyped up. And then you have then they kind of don't deliver. You get what I'm saying? I just feel like there's no real character development for them. Of course, there's going to be another film, but at the same time, like, it just feels like everything was rushed, and it just didn't feel like it just hit the mark. Now I know they're talking about, like, there's a longer cut of this movie. I personally am not trying to watch it because this movie was already kind of hard to get through, and there's no way that a longer cut is going to make this movie more enjoyable. Because you have an issue where this Zack Snyder and somebody, who the hell, the other two writers did some other work with him, and I can't remember. I know that one of them did Army of the Dead with him, and another one did something else. I can't remember off the top of my head, but Zack Snyder and two other writers wrote this movie. The problem is that they really didn't try to do things differently. This movie is very predictable. You kind of see what's coming from the beginning. Like, as soon as uh one scene is introduced, I'm like, I already know where this is going. Like, this is dead giveaway. I know exactly what we're doing here. And once we got to the end of the movie, that's exactly what happened. You had this climax in the end where we were supposed to feel like this final battle, or this final confrontation, was supposed to be a very significant value, and it just doesn't hit. You know what I mean? And it sucks because one of the characters in the movie was remotely likable, and he's I okay. There's a character in this movie that gets played up as a main character. He's a farmer. All right, I don't want to give away too much. And then there's another character who is a, like, a freaking, what's his name? He's like a thief, or kind of like a, like a space pirate type deal. I feel like those actors and characters should have kind of swapped, because the space pirate dude was a lot more compelling and felt like he had some sort of interesting personality, and the farmer feels like he's going to be more integral piece of the story going down the line, and he just isn't interesting at all. He's a fucking weenie. He reminds me of that skinny dude from The New Guy. Anyway, moving on. Zack Snyder is not a good writer. And I think that he needs to come to terms with that. He's just not a good writer. And the fact that this movie is supposed to be sharing a universe with Army of the Dead makes it 10 times worse, because this movie does not need to be mixed with anything else. And I feel like he's really trying his hardest to prove that he can create a shared universe. And you don't need to, dude. Just make your original work, have fun with it, and make it, and just do your thing, man. Netflix is fucking with you. Just go ahead and keep doing your original work. Keep uploading it there. Again, it's sad to say that I really thought this movie was going to be something else, and it just didn't. It didn't deliver. Like, I was promised a lightsaber-esque battle, and I mean, old girl's lightsabers didn't really lightsaber, if that makes sense. I don't know if it's because maybe Star Wars has like some sort of patent on what a lightsaber looks like or something like that, and they had to kind of change it up a little bit. But I really wish that it would have looked more like a lightsaber. That's just me, though. Um, and just some of the weapon choices in this movie. Like, there's one person in this movie has a fucking Irish club. If you guys have seen Gangs of New York, and you remember the governor or the mayor dude, the one that they hire, the dead rabbits hire to help him out, and every time he knocks somebody up with his little shillelagh club, he like puts a mark on it. There's a weapon in this movie that looks like it looks like that club, and I'm like, we're in a futuristic world where you guys have laser guns, and swords that can like heat up and are basically made out of lasers, and you're using a fucking club, makes absolutely no sense. This movie feels like it's trying to jack. The problem is this: we've seen 300 already. And I don't want to keep reliving the same action sequences from 300. The problem is Zack Snyder finds like an effect that he really likes and he spams the shit out of it. He did it in 300, but it was the first time we really saw that. So we're like, all right, cool. That was tight. And then in Army of the Dead and in Zack Snyder's Justice League, Snyder Cut or whatever, he was doing his thing where he would have like things like out of focus, and it was really really irritating. He would have things out of focus and then certain things in focus, and it would come into focus. He did that so much, and it was like it bothered my eyesight completely. Look, at the end of the day, I wanted Rebel Moon to succeed, but it didn't really deliver for me. Although very entertaining, I will say that it just didn't deliver with the characters. The pacing had horrible pacing issues, and on top of that, I mean, it just the story, the third act was terrible. The third act was really boring. I mean, it was a terrible third act. Here on Cinema Chop Shop, we grade movies in three ways. Count them three ways. Either you get bodied and sent to the bowels of hell, and I tell you your movie's basura, homie, or you get a big fat meh, and I tell you that it's mas o menos, mediocre, mid-range, mid. Or I say it's spared, and I tell you go ahead, stop what you're doing, hop on Netflix if you have Netflix, or if you're borrowing an account, go on and get on that. Go look up to the top the new drops, hit Rebel Moon, and go ahead and watch that shit. But I'm going to give this movie a big fat meh.
Not quite my tempo.
Not impressed.
But it can be better.
Mediocre.
Meh.
But the TV gave me the impression that...
We said meh. M-E-H. Meh.
Yeah, you heard it, folks. I'm giving this movie a big fat meh. The reason why, it's just mediocre. It wasn't boring. It wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible, but it also wasn't great, which means that it's going to fall somewhere in between. If Zack Snyder can figure it out and he could develop these characters a little bit better, because I mean, these characters have potential. They had some interesting backstories, but I mean, at the same time, it just felt like, hey, here's this character. This is their problem. Here you go. Hey, here's this character. This is what they dealt with. Here you go. And it wasn't, I didn't really have a time to really let it sink in and really like develop them. If you knew that you were going to do multi movies, maybe the movie should have been like kind of like Lord of the Rings, where you're going around and collecting people to join your journey type shit, versus just like, here's everybody, here's the whole Fellowship of the Ring. Have at it, you know. I don't know. It was just a little bit lackluster. That ending was very predictable. The twist was very predictable. You have the third act, which was terrible in my opinion. That climactic fight at the end wasn't very climactic. It was kind of whack. And I mean, you're kind of losing me with the lead. The lead lady is the only interesting character that you have in this movie, but yet she is also not the most interesting character at all. But I mean, based off of like the process of elimination, that's all we got. But she's the one character that has the most story building. She has the most character building. So that's the only, so you're naturally going to gravitate towards that person. All the other characters around that person don't really have that. And he should have done that. You have to make people like these characters. You get what I'm saying? Because Han Solo was very likable. Layla was very likable, man. Hell, even Chewie played his role and got people to like him. You have to know how to give the side characters life. Sorry, Zach, you just didn't do it. And also stop spamming that goddamn slow motion. Anyway, that's all I got. Let me know if you agree or disagree, whatever the case may be. Drop it in the comment section down below. And you are now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. Hope you guys are on a magnificent day. Adios and Merry motherfucking Christmas.
I want to play a game. Subscribe now. The choice is yours. We are now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop.